Today we're going to get into why the best salespeople I know are the most grounded, and how you can take being grounded into your own sales game and your life. The first one is obvious. You have to spend time in nature. So guys, when you spend time in nature, it reduces your nervous system and you are allowed to create a sense of calmness inside yourself. And what that calmness does is it allows you to go into sales calls, which can be very high pressure, and be calm. And when you're calm, that calmness will create the energy of the call. And that is how your prospect will open up, will give you less objections, will be more willing to share what's going on because they feel your calmness. If you're stuck behind a screen all day and you're not sleeping great and you're stressed and you bring that energy into the sales call, that's how your prospect will show up as well. But being outside in nature, it just allows everything to calm down inside. And that calmness is what will take your sales game to the next level. When you're calm in a discovery call, when you're calm in the objection handling phase, it allows you to ask deeper, harder questions. It allows you to go into territory which you couldn't do if you were stressed, because you'll put the rails and the guards up of the prospect. When you come into nature, you realize that a lot of the things you worry about, your prospect's worrying about, it's not a big deal. And when you bring that nonchalant, that calmness, that this is not a big deal into the sales call, that is how you're able to get the prospect to ask themselves hard questions. And you can also ask hard questions, and you can really dig in and get into the their limiting beliefs, their unconscious beliefs about why they don't want to do this, why they don't want to change. The second one is, I say this quite a lot, you have to have 100% conviction in what you sell, okay? What that allows you to do is, it allows you to sell from a place of abundance. And you might think, how? When you have 100% conviction in what you sell, when you know 110% that what you sell will solve their problem, you're able to sell from a place of abundance, because you know if they don't buy, the prospect tomorrow will buy. And if they don't buy in the most respectful way possible, it's their loss. And so many times in sales, we managers, businesses, they spend so much time developing reps, training, and trying to squeeze, I always say it, they try and squeeze more from the reps. You have to look at the offer and say, how do we squeeze more from the offer? How do we squeeze the offer so when I put it in front of people, when my reps put it in front of people, they know that they are so convicted in the product or the service that they can sell from a place of abundance. And this will happen unconsciously in every single thing you say. When you deal with objections, when you're asking hard questions, whatever you're doing, you know that what you've got works and it's fucking good. Just make it unbelievable, undeniable value so your reps can sell it from a place of abundance. And that abundance will allow them to be grounded in their sales calls, because they'll be calm, relaxed, and they'll be saying, do you know what, if Susie don't buy, tomorrow Nick's going to buy. And if Nick don't buy, it's their loss. Respectfully, it's their loss. But whoever buys this and tries this is going to love it, it's going to work, and then they're going to refer people. And this is the abundance mentality we need. When we're not 100% convicted in what we sell, we start to be desperate, we start to question our own ability to sell, we start to get a bit naggy when we're following up with prospects, we start to get a bit sweaty in the objection handling because you think, oh my God, I'm so close, if he doesn't buy, no one's going to buy this. That's why you need to have that groundedness in your sales, and you get that through 100% conviction, which creates abundance in what you sell. The next one is, you have to understand that your energy the state, your energy management is so important. You have to have good energy. You have to feel powerful in your energy. You can't allow energy leakage. It's so easy to leak energy today. Porn, like, just total release of all of your energy, especially as a man. The quick dopamine that you get from scrolling on social media, watching other people's lives, having crap sleep because you're on your phone till late, not, pushing yourself to try and go for what you want in life. All of these things, they wear your energy down. And the way you show up in that call is the way and the prospect that you will get. What I mean is, if you in your own life, your energy, your scarcity, you don't want to buy this, you do cheap dopamine, you don't put the effort and the time in to do anything hard, which eventually will give you dopamine, but it takes time to do. Anything like that, if you don't do that in your own life, how do you expect the prospect to come in and make a decision if you're indecisive? How do you expect them to not be worried about money if you sell from scarcity? How do you expect them to put the time, the resources, the energy, the money into changing, which is basically what you're offering, if you also won't do it in your own life? If you have low energy, weak energy, you don't have vitality for life, how do you expect your prospect to come in and have vitality for their own life and want to change? You set the tone of the sales call, guys. Remember, it's a yin and a yang. You set the tone. You set the tone of the sales call. You've probably called them up. You've probably asked them to have an appointment. You are the leader. You are leading the sale. If you come in with weak energy because you leak energy in your own life, that same energy will come into your sales calls. And that's the type of prospects you will get, believe it or not. Being grounded in your own energy is how you bring groundedness into your own sales process. How do you make sure that you've got vitality for life, strong energy, guys? You stop chasing the cheap dopamine fixes. You get outside into nature. You put a project which is going to take a minimum of 5 years, 10 years, a jiu-jitsu black belt, 10 years to get a jiu-jitsu black belt, a PhD in psychology, 6-7 years in some countries. These projects that take time, they allow you to feel a vitality for life because you're chasing something bigger. When you stop leaking energy, guys, when you come to nature, when you meditate, when you don't release on cheap dopamine, you start to create a larger energy force inside yourself. You retain your energy and you do things which increase your vitality and your energy for life. I promise you guys, you will feel it. You'll feel different. You feel powerful. And then you take that energy onto the sales call. Guys, the next one is you have to get very, very super clear with a tangible idea that you can potentially, feel like you're touching on what you want from your life, okay? The mission. What's your mission in life, guys? If you don't have a mission, you're not going to feel grounded because you're going to feel like a sailing boat at sea, being blown left, blown right, blown everywhere. But when you're grounded in what you want, and I'm not saying what social media tells you that you want, I'm talking about what you want. What you want when you turn off all the screens, when you go outside to nature, when you feel recalibrated, when you feel regrounded, realigned, which for me, nature's the only thing that can do that. Well, not the only, but it's the quickest thing that can do that for you. When you get clear on that, when you get clear on the mission which you feel when you're in silence, not the one which is being fed to you through algorithms and, millions of dollars worth of marketing, but the thing you actually want, what that does is, guys, it allows you to feel more grounded. It allows you to get clearer on your mission. And what that clarity does on your mission is, the way that helps you in sales is you start to understand, you can take the shit more. You can make cold calls when people tell you to F off. You can deal with objections all the time, all day. You can deal with rejection. You can deal with the crap which comes with sales, the 95% crap for the 5% good, because you know it's all moving and being invested, the resources, your time, your money, your energy, it's all moving towards a higher mission. And that's how you bring that groundedness into sales. Groundedness, but when you're grounded in what you want, you sell differently because you can deal with the crap, and the only way to sell more is to be rejected more. It's the only way. Pick up the phone. You have to deal with the shit to get the good in sales. It's one of the only jobs where you have to deal with constant shit to get a little bit of good. But if you don't feel grounded in what you want, you won't be able to deal with the lot of shit, because you'll just quit and you'll think this is crap, and you'll go from job to job to job. So I'm not saying you need to go and save the world. What I'm trying to say is you just have to have a few ideas about what you're working towards, even just 6 months away from now, guys. And it starts to come together. I always say your life is like a statue. You chisel it slowly, and eventually you have this beautiful sculpture that will sit in your living room. Do you want a sculpture which is ugly and you don't like, but you're stuck with it in your living room? That's what happens when you don't chisel it the right way. So get grounded in what you want, your bigger mission, and you'll be able to sell better. And the final one is, yes, it's cliche, whatever, but it's important. You have to talk less. When you feel more grounded in your life, in your surroundings, in yourself, in your mission, you feel like you don't need to talk to impress. You don't need to talk to show off your intelligence. You don't need to talk to project your ideas onto people. And the way this happens in sales is you should be talking 30-70%, guys. 70-30%. You can do that, Fathom AI, you can ask it to give you the talk to listen ratio. You should just be question, question, question. You need to get the prospect thinking and selling themselves. You want every word, every question you say to be impactful and cut through the noise, guys. When you ask a hard question and they don't respond straight away, sit in the silence. When they give you a response, hold off. Let's see if they got any more that they're going to squeeze out that response. Don't just respond straight away. Remember, silence is uncomfortable, really uncomfortable for a lot of people. And a lot of people will reveal their cards, guys, in silence. A lot. And that's what we want. We want the prospect to reveal all with us. And also, at the start, when you start to appear as someone who really listens deeply, prospects speak more. Why? Guys, who do you know in your life who actually listens to you? Like, really deeply listens to you? There's not many people. There's not many people. So when you give the prospect that space to really talk about their problems, guys, they talk, they open up, and that's what gives us the answers, guys. So when you talk less, it appears that you're convincing less, and that's good because you want them to convince themselves through your questions. So that is the next one. You have to make sure that you feel, and the way that happens is, guys, like I said, you feel grounded in yourself, your life, where you're going, your ability, everything. Anyway, guys, so those are the ways and the reasons that the best salespeople I know are the most grounded. Remember, get outside in nature.